Nigerian Civil War Rights and Responsibility. The rights and responsibility of Nigerian Civil War shaped Nigeria. The Nigerian Civil War was an economic and social rights fight. The Nigerian Civil War in 1967 was between ethnic groups. The Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafra War, is a battle of 3 years between ethnic groups about the economy and who has control of Nigeria. The people during the Nigerian Civil War faced many danger. The people who were caught in the fight and the people who were not protected. The Biafra War caused many people to starve and suffer from hunger. The Nigerian government had responsibility to protect its people, but it failed to protect these people, which led to increased conflict, hunger, and starvation. The conflicts that lead up to the Nigerian Civil War were ethnic conflicts, economic conflicts, and educational conflicts. The three major ethnic groups in Nigeria were the Hausa, the Yoruba, and the Igbo. After a brief period, Nigeria's long-standing regional conflict caused by ethnic competitiveness, educational conflict, and economic conflict came to light in 1962 to 1963. In an attempt to stave off ethnic conflict, the region was created in August 1963 by dividing the West region. Despite the division, the country was still segmented into three large geographic regions, each of was essentially controlled by an ethnic group: the West by the Yoruba, the East by the Igbo, the North by the Hausa Fulani. Conflicts were epidemic, and regional leaders protected their privileges. The South complained of the North's domination, and the North feared the South elite was bent on capturing. In the West, the government had fallen apart in 1962. A boycott of federal election of December 1964 brought the country to a brink of breakdown. The point of no return was reached in 1966 when, after the collapse in order in the West following the fraudulent election of October 1965, a group of army officers attempted to overthrow the federal government, and a Prime Minister Balawe and two regional prime minister were murdered. A military administration was set up, but his plan to abolish the region and impose a unity government met with anti-Igbo riots in the north. The military intervention worsened the political situation as the army itself split along the ethnic line. Its officer clashed over power, and its instigation and leader of the group, January coup, were accused of favoring Igbo dominance. On May 30, 1967, Ojukwu declared the secession of the three states of the eastern region under the name of the Republic of Biafra, which the federal government interpreted as an act of rebellion. Fight broke out in early July. Within weeks, had escalated into full-scale civil war. In August, Biafran troops crossed Nigeria, seized Benin, and were well on their way to Lagos before they were checked at Ori, a small town in western state. Shortly thereafter, federal troops entered Enugu, the provisional capital of Biafra, and penetrated the Igbo heartland. The next 2 years were marked by stiff resistance in shrinking Biafra, escalated by heavy casualty among civilians as well as both in armies, all set within what threat to be military stalemate. Peacemaking attempts by the Organization of African Unity remained ineffective, while Biafran began earning recognition from African states and securing aid from international organizations from what was then a starving population. The final Biafran collapse began on December 24th, 1969, when federal troops launched a massive effort at a time when Biafra was short on ammunition, its people were desperate for food, and its leader controlled 1/6 of the territory that had formed the Biafran Republic in 1967.
Early reports like these from Biafra were on film in black and white. Colour film was to follow.
10 minutes later, and the Biafrans are having trouble getting their troops to advance in their forward positions. Most of their bullets are going into the ground ahead.
It's reminiscent of the Nigerian Biafran War, one of post-independence Africa's first and most bloody conflicts, in which hundreds of thousands starved.
Declared your independence, and you've been fighting Nigeria for the last 7 months. How long do you think Biafra can fight on?
I think, barring some unforeseen accidents, barring a sudden change of circumstances, I think at this present rate we can go on for 2 years, 3 maybe.
Ojukwu fled to Cote d'Ivoire on January 11, 1970, and a Biafran dispute formally surrendered in Lagos 4 days later.
Senior secessionist officers, and he had brought them to Lagos to see us in order to let us have the acceptance of
to formally give up secession and report for reappointment and redeployment.
They have smashed all enemy offensives directed at our destruction. In the air, they have destroyed systematically the sinews of Nigeria's military might. The Biafran Air Force, small as it is, has stopped the entire oil flow of Nigeria from this our men tempered of steel. They have wrested the initiative from the Gawan enemy, and the Nigerian hordes are in trepidation and on the point of rout. The confusion of the enemy in the battlefields is only matched by the confusion in his host.
General Gowon was able, through his own personal magnetism, to reconsider the two sides, so the former Biafra states were integrated into a country once again and were not blamed for the war.
My opinion on the war, I thought it was an unethical reason to fight because of a dispute in borders. I thought they should sign a treaty about the war, and they should have never fought about borders, education, and they should have figured out how to solve the problem instead of fighting for the problem.
The Nigerian Civil War had a great impact on Nigeria. Even if it was the bloodiest battle of Nigeria, it had a significant impact to the history of Nigeria. Even if people disagree with me, I think the Nigerian Civil War should be taught in school and history, as it concludes a part of history that should be taught in Nigeria. The tensions between the ethnic groups could have been stopped, and could have been formally solved out within the government. The government could have solved the problem, but they didn't solve the problem. They thought it was just a little they thought it was a minor argument between the the ethnic groups, and they thought it wasn't going to be a very big dispute or problem against the group, which turned into a bloody and civil war.